Hello, guys. Welcome back to She Baller. I swear I have had so much trouble with this recording. I have a new laptop, so hopefully this works because, oh my god, it's getting annoying. But today we are looking at for soccer, we're going to look at the Angel City versus Racing Louisville game. And then for basketball, we are going to look at the Fever and the Liberty, I believe I put on there. Why am I blanking? Yes. The Fever and the Liberty. Anyway, so as I did not mention in the intro, here at She Baller, we look at the data from women's soccer games and women's basketball games, and we kind of come on here and, give our input on what could be better, and what could be improvement and what they did well, and just kind of based off numbers. Yeah. Basic rundown of that. I did a whole lot of talking for my podcast episodes, and now I'm over here So yeah, we're gonna look at the basketball data first. Obviously, I already have it up, so I kind of ruined the element of surprise there. Okay, so for the game, we have the Liberty and the Fever. So field goals, 46 to the Fever's 44.9. This I had a total train of thought. I promise. What was I gonna say? So obviously the Liberty were just better at doing the shoot. I think have some really strong shooters. And again, it's not as shocking. They won the championship last season. They're off to a hell of a start this season, so it's not all that shocking. 3-point field goals. Yeah. Why am I blanking so bad? 25.9 for the Liberty and 38.4. Obviously, for the Fever, they have, and especially in this game before she got injured, they have a player who can hella do 3.8. Oh my, what is wrong with me? 3-pointers. She can shoot the damn ball. Clearly, they have a player that can do that. So I think in the Fever, they have a little bit stronger in that department, as the Liberty probably do have players who are pretty good at it. Those are still some decent numbers, but my guess is that is because they have, they have Caitlin Clark, so she's a very good 3-point shooter. So I mean, they probably have other players too that can do that to combine to that, but yeah. All right, free throws, 78.1 to the 73.3. Obviously, I think the Liberty kind of thrive more on free throws and kind of getting fouled, so I think they're going to have that stronger department because they know that they have players some big powerhouse name players. Okay. So for personal fouls, I'm hoping that's what, I didn't realize that's what I did to it. 17 to the Fever's 25. Obviously, again, I'm going to say this for fouls-wise. You're the Liberty are a team that relies on kind of getting fouled. Again, they've got some big powerhouse players who, teams know that they need to shut down. Total rebounds at 34 to the 39. Obviously, watching some of it, I think the Fever knew kind of where they needed to get in at. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? So I think those are still some pretty close numbers. I think both teams probably do pretty good at that. Turnovers, 12 to the 16 for the Fever. Yeah, and again, that kind of goes back to the Liberty are a team that relies on their defense, and I think, the transition from defense to offense, which I think also showed in this game. If you watch the highlights, it really did show. And yeah, obviously, as we saw in that game, the Liberty edged out on that one. I think it was 90 to 88. I think something like that, or something like that. I literally saw the score and I just remembered it yesterday. So yeah. Okay, we're gonna go into, before we kind of go into what the teams need to go look into, we'll go and do the soccer data really quick. And I just did this one, so hopefully I can get this right, because I don't know what I just did with that basketball one. But before we kind of look into like the data tables, we'll go and kind of go through the data for each of the games. So let me share this screen with you. Okay. So we're looking at Angel City and Racing Louisville. Expected goals 1.4, Racing 1.8. Again, I still think this is a pretty close game. Both teams, I think, were kind of on level playing fields of how they wanted to play, and I think play pretty similarly. So theirs was it was pretty close for them. Pass correction rate 74.3 to the 69.4. Again, relatively close in how they, again, wanted to play, and I think, again, still played pretty similarly. The only thing where we're starting to get into is when we get to possession. It's 61 for Angel City and 39 for Racing. The only thing with this, I will say, and that goes back to the pass correction rate here, is the 74.3 that Angel City has. Obviously, it shows that they were controlling more of the game. They had the game a little bit more in control, and were passing it around the defenses, and kind of goes into our interceptions here for Angel City with 6 to Racing 17. Obviously, Racing Louisville had to play a bit more like defense and had to shut down the attacks, which I think, for the most part, I think was on a pretty even field. So this was the formations here. This one was wrong because it was not a 4-2-3-1 for Angel City. It was a 4-3-3 as it was for Racing Louisville. Again, where I say they play pretty similarly, because the numbers kind of show here that they were relatively close in almost everything, with the exception of the possession and interceptions. So yeah, now kind of looking into, obviously, what teams could improve on. As I'm trying to find my thing here. Obviously, for Angel City and the Racing Louisville game, I think there was a lot of defensive mistakes that were made for both sides, and we'll kind of get into that. But I want to go back over the Liberty versus Fever game. Sorry, I don't remember which one's which. I have 2 of these. So for the Fever and Liberty game, obviously Fever, I think, had a nice passing game, nice pressure. Both offenses are really strong, nice communication. Both were often counter defense, so I think they were getting caught up a little bit, going up, and then obviously a turnover would happen, and then they'd have to sprint back, and then they would, I guess, score in a sense. I think with the Liberty, they just needed to be a bit more aggressive. And there were a lot of times you noticed that their defense were kind of left standing. And I think it goes to both were off on counter defense, because I think the Liberty had it a bit more where they were just caught off. They were trying to attack, and then would get too caught up in that, and then have to sprint back. So for both teams are 2 very strong teams, as we know. But the Liberty was getting caught off too much on defense with the Fever's quick pressure. I think the Liberty almost lost the game because of not being aggressive as they could have been. In the end, they survived, but working on their defensive pressure will have them see a lot better results against a Fever team that looks to be contenders. And I think for the Fever, it's kind of keeping the in-game momentum. Kind of trying to keep for them their what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to keep defenses on their toes. I think it shouldn't just be up to one player to do so. So, yeah. Okay. And then to end for this one, for the Angel City and Racing Louisville game. Yeah, this is the one I want. So we have for Angel City, their players, I think there was players left wide open at the top of the box, which again can lead to the defensive mistakes. Both teams had defensive mistakes, but I think more in like terms of actual like mistakes, I think Angel City had a lot more of that, at least in the highlight video I was watching. Good far post runs on corners. Both teams, obviously, I think had the use of wingers. Players left wide open on far post, either on corner kicks or in run of play. For two teams that want to play with winger or like play on the wings like they were doing, have to be careful of the players on the far post, because again there was multiple times where both teams were leaving that wide open, and so these players could run into the open space and either make a chance, score a goal, whatever it may be. And for Racing, it was the not needed aggressive defense. Obviously, we saw a red card be shown, and she did get a 3-month, or not 3 months. Wow. I think I need to drink more of my coffee. 3-game suspension. What? Oh yeah, she got a 3-game suspension. And also like there was a table going around that she had some of the most fouls in the league. So yeah, it was her first red, but she had like multiple different yellow cards, all that stuff. So yeah, it's just the not so needed like aggressive play. And also for this game was a pretty close one. Defensive mistakes was a killer for both teams. Angel City had a few different lapses in defense that either almost led to goals or did lead to goals. The same thing we said for Racing. They had some not needed aggressive defense that as we saw led to a penalty. And I think for both teams it's kind of just if they can lock up their defenses, like it will make it a lot easier for them to transition into getting the ball, their offense, when their defense doesn't have to have as much of a lapse in the back. So, yeah. All right. And that is all I have for you guys today. I do hope you guys enjoyed this episode of She-Baller. And I will see you guys next week with a brand new episode. Peace.